Welcome to episode 7 of of Walking New York. And this is all inspired by a book that Keith Tallian wrote called Walking New York. And so this is episode 7. And so what's episode 7 about?
It's the very, very beginning of the Gilded Age. There's 3 walking tours of the Gilded Age. This is the very, very beginning of it, and it's the furthest south, and it starts at Washington Square Park.
Cool. So since we live on the Upper West Side, we got to get down there. We're going to walk to the 72nd Street. We're going to go take the express train, the number 2 or 3, to where are we taking?
14th Street, and then we have to walk to Washington Square Park.
So we'll show you that little journey. Popular place at 119 Coffee Place. Huge line. What'd you ask?
Yeah.
And it is? So it's a bakery in Brooklyn. This is Manhattan's oldest elm tree. And people, as you can see, actually draw it. There's a sign there having people draw it. All right, so Robin is going to do the 2-minute challenge right here real quick before we get started. And after she's done with that, then we're going to get started with the walking tour. She's got 2 minutes to do this. Let's see how she's doing. A lot of people are out here today doing the drawing challenge. That's a wide angle of the tree, so you get a better look at what they're trying to draw. People are over there doing the same thing. Over there too. Getting there. Got like a minute left. That's the thing about New York, there's always something going on. It's crazy. It looks good.
That looks awesome. That was 2 minutes. If you showed this to anyone, they would know it was a tree. And look at the shading you did. I mean, you know how hard it is to capture that?
Yeah.
And you did it in 2 minutes.
There you go.
You're very kind.
Very good. Can you sign it and we'll keep it? Very
So that's the final product.
Well, I encourage you to keep going. I mean, do you want to work on it now, or do you want to?
No, we gotta go.
You're done. Okay, but I encourage you to keep drawing.
Okay.
You've got a natural talent. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Good job, Robin. You're an artist. All right, so you ready to do this tour?
Yeah, let's get it done.
All right, so we're in Washington Square Park, and this is the start of the tour. So before we start this, and we haven't said this in other videos, but let's explain what Gilded means. What is, like, how did the term Gilded Age come out to be?
So the Gilded Age happened mostly between the Civil War and World War I. And there were a few really wealthy families became really, really wealthy because of the war and the industrialization. But Gilded actually means like a thin layer of something nicer, like a thin layer over gold. So that's why it's not called the Golden Age.
Or the gold thin layer cover over bronze or something. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
So it's a thin layer, something really nice over something that isn't as
Right, gold, what do they call it? Gold covered as opposed to when you buy jewelry, gold plated as opposed to like pure gold.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
That's Gilded, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a thin layer. There were a few very, very wealthy people, but most of the people in New York City were still very, very poor, living in tenements and boarding houses and things like that. So that's how the term Gilded Age came about.
Yeah, these rich people were the paint over what was hiding, I guess, the rest of the city, which was not really as golden as it could have been.
Right. History usually talks about the victors.
Yeah, exactly. So the park itself is 9 3/4 acres, around there. And what else could you say about the park?
So it was originally used as a burial ground because it was far away from where everybody lived, down at the tip of the island. But as businesses started developing down on the tip of the island, the wealthy people wanted to move away from that, so they kept moving further and further north, and they ended up here. So they stopped the burials, they made it a public park, and then people started moving in people. But when the wealthy people moved here, businesses moved here, then factories moved here to make the products for the businesses, and then the immigrants moved here to work in the factories. So they kind of chased the wealthy people up north. So that's how the Gilded Age homes, the big mansions, started moving up further north to the Upper East Side.
Yeah, so that's the mystery that I was wondering from the past videos. Like, why did they move?
Right.
And now we know why they went up north.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so the arch over here is what kind of defines Washington Square Park. And it was built in 1892, and it was to memorialize George Washington's inauguration. So it was like 100 years after his inauguration that it was actually built. We are at the Row, and we're going to talk about these townhouses. So, what can you say about these incredibly large townhouses, including especially number 3 right here that's in the middle here?
Number 3, actually, the famous artist Edward Hopper lived there from 1913 until his death in 1967, which is pretty cool. But all of them were built by a wealthy sea captain, Randall. And in his will, it said that when he dies, all this land would go to be a retirement home for sailors. But there was and his attorney happened to be Alexander Hamilton. But when
I think we all know him.
Right. When he died, he didn't have any children, so 2 nephews got the land. And they did not want it to be a snug harbor or a sailor's retirement home, so they opened one up instead with the profits used from this in Staten Island. So now these wealthy homes for wealthy individuals.
Right, and probably now they're probably all units, probably.
Probably apartments.
Yeah, because most of these gigantic townhouses that used to have one family there now have multiple families in there. So this is Washington Mews, and you can see these houses right here, and you can see the doors are like really big. And so why are the doors really big? Because they used to be stables. And then in 1910, artists actually came in and took over this area. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Yeah, they were the stables for the homes we just showed you on the other side. And then down here on the far end, those were built specifically as residences.
Over on this side?
Yeah.
And this 5-story building right here, that was built as bachelor apartments.
So Washington Mews, which we just saw, is now owned by NYU. NYU started there, but then it moved to the Bronx, and it was there for a long, long time. But then debt and crime came in, so they sold off all that land in the Bronx and moved back to Washington Square area, and that's why you see so many NYU buildings around that area, and they now own Washington Mews.
Ah, cool. This is LaFayette Street. So I remember about fur traders back when I took history in high school, but I did, it was kind of boring, it sounded like, but I guess it wasn't that boring. I had no idea it was so lucrative.
So John Astor, people know of the Astors. John Astor actually came over here from Germany, and he created Astor Place, and he bought up a lot of land. He actually was very poor and penniless, and as Chris said, he started out as a fur trader. But then fur trading kind of went to hell, and so he started buying little parcels of land here in New York, right around this area, and then he sold them off, and that's where he really made all his money. But he was the new money, and he was not accepting into the old money, which is called, like, the Knickerbockers. That was actually a John Irving book. We called the old New York money Knickerbockers, and that's how the name stayed around.
I guess they wore knickerbockers back then.
Anyway, so John Astor made most of his money buying land up around this area.
But amazing that, you know, he started with fur trading, and he was able to build this incredible empire because, I mean, obviously he was one of the richest people around.
Right.
So pretty cool. So there was an Astor Place Opera House right around here, but it was destroyed kind of, and I guess this is crazy to me to really understand, but there were riots because people didn't like, there were two different styles of Shakespearean actors, and I guess they didn't like the classic.
Right, Macready was his name.
They didn't like it, so I guess they rioted because of the style of play. That's amazing.
And 24 people were killed in a riot here, and many more injured.
Yeah.
But because of
all
that,
because of a play.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because of that, people started leaving this area and started moving uptown.
Yeah.
And that opera house was torn down, demolished, and rebuilt into a mercantile building, and now I don't think it exists anymore.
Yeah, interesting. So behind us, that's the Cooper building. And Peter Cooper, I guess, he promoted science and art, and so he built this. And one of the crazy things is that Abraham Lincoln actually made a speech in this building.
Right.
You have anything to add to that?
And he was kind of odd the way they described the way he talked and his mannerisms. But because of that, he became our president.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, when he was assassinated, his body crisscrossed the United States, came up Broadway, and came right by this building.
Yeah, and one of the crazy things is they didn't describe him that well when he was giving the speech. I guess he wasn't president then. But then, like, here's this guy who probably is one of the most famous presidents we ever had. So, pretty cool. We're gonna grab a quick lunch at Libre Bakery, and then we'll be right back at it. The Wall of Fame. Oh, these are actors. So this is the public theater. It used to be the Astor Library.
Right, yeah.
And I guess from the Astor Library, I know in a previous version of the episode of our walks here, you saw that the Astor Library and the Lenox Library, and there's another one, they all merged together to the New York Public Library.
Right.
So it moved out of here and this became the public theater. Also, Joe's Pub is in there, and Joe's Pub they have a lot of shows in their pub. I know we did a Christmas show there. We did a video on that a couple of years ago.
And there's also a couple theaters in there too.
A couple theaters in there, and we went to Shakespeare in the Park, and one of the places you can get the tickets is you can come here and you can get in line, and hopefully they call your number out and you can win. And one of the cool things is Shakespeare in the Park is actually free, but you have to get the tickets, and so they do have these lotteries where you go. This is one of the places. You can also stand in line at Central Park, and you can try to get a ticket that way too. But it is completely free, and it's amazing because they get some really big actors that do that. So it's pretty cool when they do it. We're at Grace Church. So this is Grace Church, and you can see behind me, and it was built in 1846, and at the time it was one of the tallest buildings in New York City. So that's pretty cool.
And if you stand on the steps now, they say you can see the Battery, so all the way down to the Battery, so we're going to check that out.
Let's go check it out.
But it was also, it was owned by a Dutchman, Mr. Revort, all this land. And Broadway actually takes a little angle here, and that's because they didn't want to interrupt his land, so it was out of respect to him. The church was designed by a member of his family through his wife, who was 25 at the time and didn't really have much experience, but because of it, he won the competition to design St. Patrick's Cathedral on Fifth Avenue.
Pretty cool. There's the front, there's the steps. Fortunately, from up here, you can't see a whole lot because there's scaffolding. And one thing about New York, it's got scaffolding all over the place. They're always doing work here. On the way to the next stop, we're going to walk through the market here. We saw a lot of this when we were in Africa, so if you're watching those videos, make sure you watch those African videos of ours. I've seen this online, and basically what it is that these people freed these beagles from a plant that was treating them horribly and breeding them and using them for scientific experiments, and they saved them, and then they arrested the people who saved these dogs. So I guess that's what this protest is about.
.io/act, and there's also a list of numbers in the front to people that you can call to try to get something implemented to get this stopped. But the petition is on that website.
Did they ever? I know the people got arrested for freeing them. Are they out now, or are they still?
Some of them are here.
Some of them are here. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
Everybody's out, but they're still going through the courts.
So behind us is Union Square. What's the deal with Union Square?
Basically, it's a very simple name. It's the union of a lot of major thoroughfares like Calvary, Broadway, a bunch of main thoroughfares in the city. So it's Union Square.
Nice. Why is there a shark on the side of the road? Peat's Tavern, established 1864. Man, the bars around here are old, aren't they? We're at Gramercy Park. So the park right behind us, Gramercy Park that we're talking about. The interesting thing about this park is it's owned by the neighborhood. And it has a lock and a gate. Unless you're part of the neighborhood, or I guess if you're friends with someone who lives here, you aren't going in there. They're not going to let you in.
It's crazy. It is the only privately owned park in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And we've walked around it a couple times and could never figure out why the gates are always locked.
Now we know why.
Yeah.
It's a private park.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. So what's all this about Mrs. Fish?
I don't know if you guys watch the Gilded HTV show, but they do have Mrs. Fish there. And she was married to Stuyvesant Fish, who was a descendant of Peter Stuyvesant. And they lived here for a long time. And she threw parties, the likes of none other. She was 23 years younger than Mrs. Astor, but she was right up there with her as far as being part of high society.
So she was a partier.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Fish lived right there. And this is in the corner of Gramercy Park and Irving Place. So that place over there is called the Players. What's the deal with that place?
There's a lot to say, but it was started by Edwin Booth. Okay, Edwin Booth had a tragic life. He was married twice. Both wives died young. His brother was John Wilkes Booth, who killed Abraham Lincoln. Edwin Booth had nothing to do with that. He actually was a very strong supporter of Abraham Lincoln. Coincidentally, he saved Abraham Lincoln's son after he fell on a train track. He didn't know it was his son, but he saved him. Turned out it was Abraham Lincoln's son. Turns out his brother murdered Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, Edwin...
I think most of us know that story.
Right. Edwin was an actor, and he started this Players Club as a place for actors to come, because actors really weren't thought very highly of. They weren't very educated. So he wanted a place where they could be to get education and learn from other people who knew about other things in life. So he built this, and interestingly enough, it's still there today.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because that was like the 1800s, right?
Right, yeah.
Unbelievable. So the National Arts Club is right behind me, and it's on 14th and 15th Gramercy Place Road. Samuel Tilden, who was the governor in New York, actually bought those two and created this. He combined them to create this incredible mansion. It showed you he had a lot of money. And he, at one point, he was like a Democratic.
He was the governor of New York, and he ran for the presidency against Hayes. It was a very contested election, but Hayes eventually won.
And this is right after, I guess it was the Civil War, and after Lincoln died, and so it was kind of a crazy time in the United States, sort of like now. And anyway, this used to be a mansion, and now it's
National Arts Club.
Yeah. So the brownstones behind us are actually one of the first brownstones in the city, and you can see this. What's interesting is they got like these cast iron like porches, which is pretty interesting because I haven't seen that on a lot of buildings here. Anything to add?
Brownstone was used a lot in the city. You hear people talk about brownstones all the time, but it didn't really work because it fell off. So now when you see brownstones, they're just like probably brown cement.
Right, just brick and brown cement. You can see some of the cast iron porches right there and up here. Pretty cool. So there's a story behind these two lamps. So the story is that in the past, a long time ago, because they don't do it anymore, they used to put two lamps in front of any mayor's house. So a mayor did live here, and I'll put the name on the bottom there. And but then some of the mayors didn't. They refused them, and now no one does it. Now the mayor lives at Gracie Mansion, and the lamps aren't there. And there's only two places now that actually have these lamps. This is one of them. You have anything to add?
The other one's in Greenwich Village.
Yeah. So the building that you can't see because it's covered up, what is it? Talk loud, it's windy.
It's the Calvary Episcopal Church, and the reason they talk about it is because it's made out of the original brownstone, and if it wasn't all scaffolded, you could actually touch real brownstone.
But you can't touch real brownstone because it's covered with scaffold.
Right.
We're at Madison Square. Not only is this nice park area, and I guess they put it there because of all the noise and all the craziness that was going on Broadway and the shows and all that, so they wanted to get something a little bit more peaceful. They put this park up, but it was also like the first place where Madison Square Garden was, which I guess it didn't last, right, because it moved. So anyway, that's one of the things about this area. Anything else? So, we're at the end of the tour here. This is Murray Hill. That's the Empire State Building. So we're going to tell you a little bit about Murray Hill. Well, like I said, Murray Hill is our last stop of this tour. So what would you have to say about this and how it pertains to the Gilded Age?
So Murray Hill became the place where some younger people of the Gilded Age moved, like generations below the Astors. But there was actually infighting among the Astor kids because Mr. and Mrs. actually was an honorific name. So Mrs. Astor, just because you married into the Astor family, you weren't immediately Mrs. Astor. It was passed down, and there were fights among two sister-in-laws. So one sister-in-law moved to England, and the other one stayed here. But they ended up moving uptown too, and once they moved uptown, everybody moved uptown, and that was the end of the Gilded Age in Murray Hill.
So that's it. So if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any ideas of other videos, make sure you share them in the comments. And you hang on 2 videos are going to pop up any moment. You can click on any of those videos and you can continue your happy, healthy, loving journey. And we will see you all next time.